Hey there, YouTubers. Me again. This is probably the most loved and the most hated video series that I've been working on. I put out the video for my little modification here, making a Fox Hemi out of a Chevy small block. Fox, for those that don't understand, is not fox like animal, but fox as in fake, like fox furs. Counterfeit, not real, fake. A lot of people hated it. Well, about 15% of y'all anyway. And that's a pretty high percentage, or maybe that's a pretty normal percentage, I don't know. But a lot of you loved it too. So my whole project here was to disguise the old ho-hum small block Chevy swap into a car. Of course, now it's the LS, right? Which, it's all cool. I don't care. If it's your car, you do what you want, right? This is my car, so I'm doing what I want. But there's a lot of haters out there. Do we care? Not really, because this is my car. Why you would hate somebody just because you don't like what they're doing? That's what they make the off button for. Anyway, look at this. These are sliding all over the place. They're going to fall off. Anyway, this is what I plan on putting in there. Yeah. Whew. Okay. I've noticed some obstacles already. Steering column on that side. The suspension is really low. I don't know. We're going to have some obstacles. I don't know. Well, I'm sure I can make it work one way or the other, but do I want to put struts and modify things just to get a set of valve covers in there? That's probably going to be a negative. So this may or may not work out. I am going to do my best. And with you guys watching, you all, I should say, because some of you may be ladies, excuse me, you can throw some tips out there while we're doing this. Say, hey, what if you do this? What if you do that? I'm cool with that, because this is yeah, first time. Everything I seem to do is the first time. I don't want it boring, right? This is not boring. I don't care who you are. This isn't boring. For you haters out there, sorry, I'm not inside the box. I like to be outside the box. I like my cars to be different. Now, this old Gremlin runs good. She smokes and drinks. In fact, I can see the trail of oil dropping as I pulled in here. Now, I can fix the oil leak. I could probably fix the smoking. It's probably maybe a leaky head gasket or whatever. But I got this, right? I can save this engine for a rainy day, or I can, sell it off and try to recoup some of the money from this. This is a budget build, believe it or not. I know in reality, this intake goes about $850 on the internet. But I traded a buddy for some parts. He traded pretty hard on it, but it's stuff I already own. These valve covers I got on sale. And I was so happy with the service of this company. I actually bought 2 sets, and one of them was damaged when it got here. And I called them up. The lady was sweet as pie. Call out to Jasmine. You're awesome, young lady. They got me the new ones back. I got them back yesterday. They look beautiful. They fixed my problem. There were no hesitation. Great company to deal with. Nice product. So I want to give a call out to Speed Master, which I think they're like a branch of Procom. Because I put the sticker on my toolbox so I wouldn't forget. So it's Speed Master, not what's the other one? Speedway. Okay, Speedway is pretty cool too. Don't get me wrong, but this is Speed Master, which is a branch of Procom. Fantastic valve covers and not expensive. Even without the sale, they were only about $150 a pair. You can't beat that, right? I mean, shoot, Hemi valve covers, I've seen them go well over $1,000. So when I saw these for $150, boom, they went in my save cart, my wish list. And then I was getting around Christmas time, and I was just shopping, like women do. They shop for hours and don't buy anything. So I was kind of doing that, and when I clicked on this, they were half price. And I'm sorry, like my wife in a shoe store, when things are half price, I start buying, right? And these were half price, free shipping. I was like, I am all over this like flies on poop, right? So I got my $850 intake for a trade, right? I think I traded a car actually, but it was a beat up junk car. It was a parts car. Okay, you know, $800 for that car probably wasn't a bad deal, right? I mean, it didn't hurt me. Let's put it that way. And I don't think it didn't have no suspension, no rear end, no engine. Well, no, I think it did have a seized up engine in it, but it was like a 318 or something. But anyway, I think that's what I traded in. So I traded pretty hard on it, but it's a nice intake. I've got a brand new four barrel intake for it. That's gonna sit in the box. Probably go to the next swap meet, or save it for the next project. I did have a guy, and I might do a little walk around real quick. I had one guy comment. He goes, "Everybody says that's a Corvette engine," because this is out of a 1984 Corvette, C4 Corvette. And if you look back about 3 years on my videos, you'll see me pull this engine out of that car. It's a white Corvette. It's mostly music, because I think I had the radio playing or something. I had to drown out all the, what do you call that? When you use somebody else's music. Copyrights, yeah, that's it. Copyright. So I had to drown out all the copyrighted music. I've got a 283 just for his viewing pleasure. I do have a 283 over here that did not come out of a Corvette. It came out of I think an Impala. So this did come out of a Corvette, and honestly, just because it comes out of a Corvette doesn't necessarily make it a super engine. The C3 Corvettes came with anything down to an 8.5 to 1 compression L48, all the way up to the L88 and what have you. That has more. I'm not a big, natural, stock guy, so I don't really understand. I don't know all the specs on engines and stuff. The C4, I think, was like 265 horse. So even though this is a Corvette engine, it's not really, super engine. 265 is not exactly tipping the scales of horsepower. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was going to put a nitrous plate. I still may put nitrous on this, but now I got to put 2, which, yeah. So, and this car most of the time goes to the shows and at power parks. It is fun to drive though. It's 4-speed. It's a lot of fun. You can follow the whole series on this car to this point. And then this engine started, well, of course, it's leaking really bad because I put it in without checking things. My own fault. So this is going to come out. This is going to go in. I think. I'm going to try. I may have to modify the valve covers. I hate to cut up these beautiful valve covers, man, but I may have to. I may have to do a little cutting on the car. I'd rather cut the car. I don't know. It's just going to depend. I think if we cut back here, it's not going to make a big difference because underneath here is just a small block Chevy. So I don't know. Maybe you all can help me. You haters gotta say what you gotta say. Go for it. You've always got an opinion anyway. This is it. This is the project. So if you enjoyed the series on doing this, don't forget to go back to the video before that. They skip a few. In fact, this is going to skip a few. And you'll see where I took this engine and got it prepped for this. When I got it running originally, I pulled it out of the corner over there, stuck it on the stand, and got it running. So you can watch the Will It Run video because it's been sitting for probably 20 years. So watch that video, then we'll get to this one. You can watch all the Gremlin before this point, and that's kind of where we're at now. So I'm going to stop yapping, and we're going to... Oh, wait, I did promise one Corvette guy that wanted to know where all the Corvettes without engines are. I'm going to go ahead and take a walk out in the shed. Not in the shed. Mouth just doesn't work sometimes. Take a walk out in the yard, and I'm going to show this one guy that, hey, this came out of a Corvette. And I'm going to show him the cars because he wants to know where all the Vettes are with no engines in them anymore. So I'm going to show you 2, okay? And I'll show you the ones that still have engines in them. And I did mention my C3 up here that no longer has the stock engine. So that engine is out there too. So we're going to just prove to this one guy, it might be more of you, that we are dealing with a Corvette engine, even though it's not a big high horsepower one. So we ready? Let's get started. C3 Corvette has a 454 out of a tow truck in it now, 4-speed. You can also watch this car In fact, one of my first videos ever was on this car, putting a 4-speed in it. So there you go. There's one Corvette engine that's out there. And it's out of this car because this no longer has its stock engine. It now has 425 horsepower, 454. Corvette number 2. This is one that we've also featured. We did this paint job. It's all dusty now, but we did this paint job on the channel. We put a nitrous kit in this on the channel. But this is also another Corvette. This one does have the original engine, so this one is not a Corvette without an engine, which is what this guy wanted to know where they are. So we're going to move on to the next one. Here is the donor car. This is the car that I took that engine we're getting ready to put in the Gremlin out of. So, look, for your viewing pleasure, it no longer has an engine. So, the gentleman who was asking about where all the Corvettes are with no engines, well, here's one of them. And this is where that engine actually came from. And you can watch the pulling of this video. Try that in English. The pulling of this engine in a video that I made about 3 years ago. C4 pulling the engine kind of thingy. So look back at that if you want to watch that. And this is, indeed, a C4 Corvette, or what's left of one anyway. I've been scalping parts. And we're going to get some more parts off of this for this Gremlin project. Corvette number 4. Again, there's a video on this when I first picked it up. This does not have an engine. In fact, it does not have a suspension. It does not have an interior. It doesn't have much of anything. It is basically a shell. And for you who care, the chassis and the engine from this car, I believe, is in a 35 coupe. The guy cut the bottom out of his coupe, cut the bottom out of this Corvette, and used all of it, suspension, everything, in that coupe. And this is what was left. And I picked this up, and if you watch that video, I picked this up, and on the way home, with this on the trailer, we actually bought another Corvette, which is actually my daughter's car. And so you can watch that video as well. So there you go. For you unbelievers, this is indeed a Corvette engine that I'm putting in the Gremlin. Time to get this engine ready to go in. And I've got to take all this stuff off. This was just a mock-up for the, kind of show you what we're getting ready to do. The engine has to be ready. It's probably okay to put it in the way it is because everything is super clean so far. And I don't see any residue on the engine from leaks or anything like that. But we're not going to take any chances. I've had too many installs where everything was, leaky. Like the one that's in the Gremlin now. The Gremlin's right here, getting ready for this engine. But I want to get this engine ready. We're going to put a new rear main in it. It's going to get new valve cover gaskets, new intake gasket, obviously. New carburetor gaskets. And both of these carburetors should, keyword being should, be ready to go on. I think I may want to put a choke back in this one. We'll see. But for now, it's all going to come back off. That was just to make, give you all a little whammy on what we're about to do. But all of this is going to come off and out. And call that happy horse pucky. So back down to the bare bones block. Do this. Kind of amazing how well that, there we go, how well that valve cover just slides right on there, isn't it? Why is it being difficult? There we go, okay. Alright. Perfectamundo. Yeah, this, for some reason, the distributor doesn't want to cooperate. Craziness. There we go. Now it's safely on the cart. We're back down to the bare bones. Now you'll notice from the last video, ooh, what's that? What the heck? Stuff, junk in there. Silver stuff. That's weird. Coming off of maybe the intake? Huh. Got a little bit of aluminum filing, maybe for me just messing around with it. Anyway, we'll get that out of there. Notice I changed these valve covers over. Reason being is these are lower, and I was able to get these valve covers to sit nice and flat where I can actually use the bolt holes for these valve covers. Bolt holes on that lines up, well, one of them lines up. So what we're going to do is we're going to line one of them up, but I got to get it in the car first to see just how things go and line up and blah blah blah. So I'm going to put one bolt that's actually going to hold this in. I'm going to have to drill a hole in the new valve cover to line up with the second hole, and we're going to actually use the top two holes here. Are actually going to get held in by the Hemi valve cover. Cool, right? So that's a lot to do, but for now we use these lower valve covers. I know these are vintage valve covers, but they go into good use. You'll never see them, but they're going to go to good use. We'll probably paint these just to preserve them because it's getting a little bit of rust on here. So that's where we're at now. I've got to change the oil in this. These have got to come off. I mean, I don't have to, but this is going to leak and sound terrible. I may or may not leave them for no reason whatsoever and just plug this hole just to avoid work. Otherwise, I'm going to end up welding these holes up, which I'm not sure where we're going with that just yet. I don't really like these on there, but if I take this off, we'll see what happens when I take this off, if it breaks, if I can put a cap on it. But right now, we got to take the oil out. Pan sounds plastic. They put plastic pans on these. For now, we've got to go ahead. We've got to get this flipped upside down, so I'm going to take the oil out of it. I'm going to take these mounts off. So we've got to figure out how we're going to mount this to the old Gremlin. So we got a little bit of figuring to do. Dirt. Not good to have dirt in the engine. We're just going to change the oil for now. And I'm going to drain the oil, but on the stand here, the oil is just going to shoot out the back and miss the pan completely, so I threw this little piece of plastic back here to kind of deflect the oil. I thought that oil looked really clean on the dipstick, but maybe not so much. I will let that drain. Once it's done draining, we'll go ahead and flip this baby upside down. Probably going to make a mess, but time to flip it over. I let it drip down for a little while, and I've got to do a few more things over here. Like I'm going to flop this thing off of here. I'm going to leave these on. I think I'm just going to cap them, and then I'm going to leave these heat shields because the new valve covers kind of come down over here, and I'm going to end up welding a nut, I think, here, and maybe building brackets here to hold the backside of the valve covers, because otherwise they'll just rattle around, and we don't want that. So we got to get a little creative, but again, it has to go in the car before I can do any of that, because I don't know where everything's going to fit or end up. So now it's time to, I need to just take this off. We'll do that in a minute. I'm going to flip this bad boy over. This is never easy. I want to buy one of those ones that just do that with an electric motor, like, and it does it automatically. That'd be sweet. But those are expensive. So for now, we just got to muscle it. Oh no. Oh, okay. Told you it was going to make a mess. Just talking about mess, I have, when I did the paint video on the BMW, the Corvette, the big block Corvette, spewed antifreeze everywhere just for a story. Because stupid me forgot to turn the fan on, which you saw that in the Will It Run video when I broke in the cam. And I forgot to turn the fan on again because I'm not used to driving that car. And she overheated, and when she got hot, the hose literally, well, just for kicks and giggles. When I say the hose blew, the hose blew. And my wife was standing very close to it. Fortunately, it went the other way, but it literally coated the entire shop with antifreeze. I hate it when I do stupid crap, which I do far too often. But actually, this wasn't too bad. This is when you find out just how much water you left in the block. Fortunately, I've got a good bunch of kitty litter / speedy dry / whatever you want to call it over there from my previous incident with antifreeze. Oh, but I got a little bit going here, so let me clean this up before it gets too far. Chevrolet, in their infinite wisdom, put 1/2 inch on the ends and 7/16 in the middle. So just for fun, we're going to take the ends off first. I tend to tighten things from the middle outward, so when I loosen them, I do the opposite. Opposite. And I've got to take this starter off of here. I don't think I'm going to use this starter, because if you remember on the Will It Run video, it kind of labored to turn this engine over. Which is a good thing, I guess, because it means the engine's got good compression. But it's in my way right now, so let's go ahead and get a 9/16 and take that starter off of there. We'll use a bigger starter or a mini starter, one or the other. Okay, got all the bolts out of here. And maybe I won't use any video or audio on this particular part, we'll see. Can't say they didn't seal this engine up good. Gee, gads. Good rubber / cork gasket. They made those, you know, rubber and cork. Boy, it's just coming off nice and clean. And we don't want to pick too much away there on the timing cover because that's also a different seal. I do want to put a new rear main in. Oh shoot, that means this pan's got to come off, don't it? Oh, poopies! Alright, yeah, so we got to take the oil pump out, and this windage tray, and then the main cap, which is also holding the oil pump in, I think. I think. Nope, actually that's this bolt that's holding the windage tray. This screen, look at this. Look at that screen. That thing is like perfectly clear. Of course, I don't know if you can see it because I'm not looking through the viewfinder. There it is. Oh, there you go. Look at how clean that thing is. It's like a brand new engine in here, so I think I'm starting with good foundation here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that pan off, pull the oil pump out, pull the rear main so that we can put in a new rear main seal. Boy, they get you on that one. You can't take this off without taking this off, and you can't take this off without taking this off. And this is up underneath the screen. So we got to get a wrench. And that is 9/16. That bearing looks very good. Not bad at all. She's got a small signs of wear, but very good otherwise. Get you in here nice and close for this. It's going to be very cool. This is magnetic. That's not going to make it very easy. Just going to get very gently. Tap this out of here, which it's not cooperating. You gotta be very careful you don't want to score up that journal, because then she's gonna leak like a sieve. But she ain't coming out nicey nice like I want it to. There it goes. Alright. The one on the big block came out a lot easier. This one's still not in too bad a shape. I'm going to have to get some pliers. See if I can't gently pull up. Well, maybe we'll squeeze that straight up. Sure, just throw it in the oil pan and get it all nasty. See if I can't. Yeah, we're going to. Oh, there it goes. Okay. We're destroying it in the process, but we're getting it out of there. Our intentions were not to put it back in anyway. So, what I'm doing, you can't really see because you're on the other side, is I'm just kind of inching it up one little bit at a time with the screwdriver, pushing it into the rubber and scooting it up. Here we go. You see it kind of, well, maybe it didn't. It did. It kind of made little marks, but that's okay. That wasn't a little, well, yeah, not very flexible. It was time to go. She was time to go. And away it goes. You know, I took a break because I was hungry. I had to go to the bathroom. And now I'm cold when I came back. I was actually sweating and shedding some shirts and everything else, and I don't know why that is. You put a little food in your belly and you get cold and sleepy. Alright. I'm going to make sure everything is super clean. I don't like the way any of that looks in there. We're not putting the cap back on yet anyway, but yeah, we're going to have to get in there. I don't like any of that. That just looks dirty. Alright, anyway. Let's get the GNU seal. They really sealed that baby up. It's got a little bag and a big bag, and I can't get in it. Where's my knife? Zing the top of this bad boy. Woo! Fell Pro. Not a fall pro. That means you'd be a professional at falling. But a fell pro. That means you've already fallen. Now something fell out when I just opened that. Maybe that was just the top. Heard something fall. I hate when that happens. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and open this one. I'll bet you what fell was my little... Oh, nope, because it just fell now. Alright, now, this is very, very important. This little tool right here. I'm tripping all over myself. This little tool right here is incredibly important. I actually saved the one from when we did it on the big block. And you'll notice there's not a lot of juice around this area. And reason being is if you do this right, whoever did this last time, I don't know if it's original or what. Looks like somebody's been in here at least under the oil pan. I usually put a little bit of Permatex right here on the edges, and that way, just make sure we get a good seal. Now, you look at the little tool. And what the tool does is the tool goes inside the groove, like that. And what that does is if you look way inside that groove, you'll see a little line. See that little line that is on the inside? It protects that from getting sheared off when you put this in. So, what we're going to do is make sure we're putting this in the right way. Yes. Alright. Okay. The open side goes to the inside of the engine, okay? Open side goes towards the engine. And this does not want to go because it is tighter than the snow. Come on, baby. Come on, you going? There we go. She was going. I probably should have put a little Earl on there. But that just keeps, that little tool just keeps it from going. There we go. Now, here's a little trick. Alright. I'm going to pull this out of here. And I'll notice there's a little bit sticking up a little bit, right? See that? All right. I'm going to put some goo. Got a little oil in there anyway, so I can see it. I'm going to try to sop that up a little bit. Now I'm going to get some really good high-end Permitex, and I'm going to squirt it down in that hole. And you say, why are you doing that? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't want the seal, the actual seam on the block, and the seam on the gasket to be the same. I want to stagger them. Does that make sense? So I got to get this cleaned up real good and this cleaned up real good before we go ahead and put any juice on there. Alright. We got to clean this gasket surface. I'm not too worried about the gasket surface yet, but I definitely want to get this. Ooh, I didn't like that at all. Hang on, there's something there I don't like. Let me get a pick. Well, I was kind of hoping to put it in the, come right out of the gun and do this. Oh my goodness, this stuff's like boogers. But we're going to go ahead and put a little bit right there. On there. Alright, and then, oh my. Egad's watching. And see if I can't carefully. What am I doing that for? I could have probably. There we go. Alright. Now you don't really want to get it on the crank itself, but the oil on that's going to stop that from happening anyway. This stuff is like dog doo. It will get everywhere. Alright. I kind of jumped the gun on that one a little bit. I'm going to take the seal off of this one, which it's not going to cooperate either. Where'd my screwed up driver go? Okay, we got that one out. I'm going to clean that up a little bit. Okay, clean that up a lot. Okay, now you'll notice, well, my hand's filthy. I'm going to use my finger to clean that bearing. I'm not going to put the rag on it. I'm going to use my finger to swipe that clean. Because like I've said in the past, your hands will pick up dirt better than anything else. Alright, now I'm going to get the new seal. Put it in again. The open piece goes towards the inside. Now we got to remember that this one is going to go like that, right? Oops, I did that one backwards. The open, I thought that was the open. The open side goes here. Alright, nope, I got that wrong. Dadgummit. Try that again. And you got the open side. Goes towards the inside. Better make sure I got that one right. Yeah. Alright. Now it'll correct itself when I put it in. Now I'm going to put a little oil on the bearing before I set it on top. I'm going to go get a little bit of clean WD, if you know what I mean. Going to put a little Earl. Make sure your finger's clean. Put a little on the seal too while we're at it. Alright. And then we're off to the races. Make sure I got that one in there, right? Alright, now I'm ready to put this bad boy on there. Had to get a little jiggy with it. I had double checking myself. This seal surface has got a little bit of yuckmar on there, but we're good. So we're going to set this on here gently, gently, gently. Now remember, we're not, our seals are cattywampus, right? So we want to make sure that goes in there nice and easy, which it seems to have. Hands are cramping. I hate when that happens. Alright, these should be the same. They are. We're going to clamp these down by hand because I don't want to force anything. After I get these down there, I've got to torque them down, so we're just going to get this to seat. Then I got to figure out what my torque specs are. Specs on the main cap is 70 pounds, but I'm going to go to 40 first. Notice I'm using a short socket. Closer you get to the source, the more accurate your torque setting is going to be. You should add a little more if you're using any kind of an extension. Keep it going nice and steady. Don't jerk on it. Same thing with the oil pump. The oil pump is actually going to be 80 pounds. It's a little more for some reason. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go with 40. And then to 80. Make sure we got a nice clean connection because there is no gasket between the oil pump and the cap. If a little bit leaks out, I don't think anybody cares because it's just still oil in the engine. Now, one thing we don't want to forget is our oil shaft. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Now this is getting kind of old on this one, and these have been known to flake away. But this is supposed to be attached to the oil pump. I've got the oil clean that pan up quite a bit better. But we got our pump. Now make sure this is all nice and clean. It's got a little lint in it from me trying to wipe it with a rag. Don't wipe it with a rag. Bad idea. Alright, here we go. Get that nice and clean again. Notice I'm using my finger, like I've said numerous times. See, that's worn out. That's not any good. I'm lucky that that didn't fall out. I wonder if I've got another one somewhere. Oh, it's cracked. I see it. Uh-oh. We are at a standstill because that's cracked. See that? Not that it won't work, but we want a good job. See if I've got one laying around. I do. We got a brandy new one. So we're just going to go ahead and push that on there. You'll feel it snap. There we go. Make sure everything's nice and tidy. This goes down in this hole. Now this doesn't matter because the distributor's going in there. So it doesn't really matter where it's at right now. Fit it over the dowels. There we go. You'll use a lot of your hands to keep things clean. I know it sounds weird, but your hands are great magnets for dirt. Have you ever tried to clean your kitchen counters and you have a bunch of salt and you try to pick it up with a rag and then you run your hand across it and that grabs all the salt for you? Same concept, same thing. Here we go. Then I gotta try to figure out what I do with the bolt, because one, I put it right here. I ain't seeing it. Which means, oh, I put it right here. Sometimes I'm so stupid, I surprise myself. And this is 85 pounds, or 80 pounds, right? 80. My bad, 80. Now I don't know if I can get, maybe. This doesn't want to go in my pocket. Hands cramping. Things are going bad. Hand cramps, ow. Now remember what I said, if you go a little bit longer, you want to go a little bit more so. Now this is at 40 right now, and I got to go to 80, so I'm going to go 82. There we go. Go. Why that one's so much tighter? I guess maybe because of the clamping and no gasket. If there's a gasket in there, 80 pounds would probably squish the gasket pretty good. Alright, always remember to untorque your torque wrench. You don't want to leave the spring pressure on it. So bring it back down to 0 or less. Now this torque wrench is probably older than many of you watching. So you got to make sure you take care of them. I know I should probably step up into the modern age and change some things, but alright, now I got to go clean the oil pan up real quick before I'm going to clean this out too. Clean the oil pan up real quick before I try to put it back on. I do want to close this engine up before I quit for the night, and then I'm going to go in the house and get me some dinner, spend a little time with the wife. Alright, put my windage tray back on. Oh shoot, I screwed up. I don't know if you can tell where. I forgot the windage tray goes underneath the oil pump bolt. So I guess we're taking that back off. Fortunately for me, I left the socket on here. So we'll just take it back off. Sometimes you forget, sometimes you screw up. As long as you remember in the long run, that's what matters. So let's turn this back. This is only one bolt, so you really don't have to do the two-step on it. Oops, I forgot, I got to turn it up to 80 pounds again. 82 if I remember right. Personally, I found this one scary because it's not that big a bolt. And pulling on that 80 pounds just feels wrong. Alright, there we go. Put my windage tray bolts back on. These are crushed nuts, so you just snug them up. You don't want them coming loose and sliding around inside the pan, that's for sure. But you don't have to worry about going crazy on them either. Crazy for you. Touch me once and you'll know it's true. I never wanted anyone like this. It's all brand new. You'll feel it in my kiss. I'm crazy for you. Let's see. These are 9/16. That one's done. Do I have a 9/16 handy? Yep. Now this bugger was tight. So we're going to put it tight again. I don't know why they're so tight. They're lock nuts. They ain't going to back off. Crushed nuts, whatever you want to call them. I see dirt everywhere I go. You know what I mean? It's just like one of them things. Now I had to do this to get it off of there. So I'm going to do that to get it on there. Not necessarily necessary, but I'm doing it. And I'm going to use a ratchet to, what size were those? I think they were 1/2 inch, right? Oh no, 9/16. You'll notice I zinged it apart with my electric tools and put it back together with hand tools. I just prefer to do things that way because you don't want to over zing things, you know what I mean? Sometimes I'll do it if I'm in a hurry. It's probably tighter than they need to be. And I was about to hunt down a spec for a windage tray. Alright, so now it's oil pan time, but I gotta go clean up the oil pan, so I'll be right back. I opted for the rubber gasket, so the only places I'm gonna put any kind of goo is right here in the corners. Anywhere there's a joint, you always want to make sure you put a little bit of goo just to make sure. But that is the only place that I'm putting it. I'm going to set my gasket. Now on the Chevrolet, I do believe the front one is bigger than the rear one. And you've got little, I don't even know what to call them, doodads, steps, whatever you want to call them, that fit into a groove, especially on this corner. This one doesn't have one, but again, I still put that Permatex in there. I've got my oil plan. My oil plan is to make sure there's oil in the engine. My oil pan's ready. We're going to stick that on here. Alright. We're ready. Make sure we got our oil screen. We're torqued. Got my plate. It's torqued. We got all my gaskets. I got these are torqued. Let me know once over. I think we're... For a minute there, I thought I had the gasket on backwards, but nope, it's good. Evidently, you can put it on either way. Interesting. So, here we go. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Make sure she fits in the grooves nicely. Man, this is a nice... I'll tell you what, folks, it's well worth the extra money to buy the good one-piece oil pan seal. It really is. I opted not to paint this because it's got some kind of a, I don't know, maybe that's just paint, but yeah, maybe I'll paint it after all, but it had some form of a, I don't know, a powder coat or something on it, it seems like, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it anyway just because, it's peeling and chipped and what have you. But let's go ahead and get the bolts in here first of all. Remember I said I like to put things on by hand, and so I'm going to use a speed handle. Unfortunately, I've got to pull them down with the end ones first. I usually like to start in the middle, but the way this gasket is, it's so thick, I have to pull it down a little bit on the ends in order to get the front, the small ones, not the front, but the small ones. My brain was doing front and my mouth was trying to say the center ones, but that way I get these started because they're really, really short. Once we get them started, we're good to go. And I got a couple of weird ones, I guess, for wire looms and what have you that we probably can almost guarantee we're not going to use. But for now, it's all I got. There we go. Pull them down with the ends. Get these started. Once I get them started, start the center. Now this particular gasket has metal washers inside the gasket so you can't over tighten it. Pretty cool, right? So then you might say, well, if that's the case, why don't you just go ahead and zonk it down with a ratchet? Well, old habits die hard, I guess. You shouldn't need to tighten this much. I actually got a hammer and straighten the lip on this oil pan out a little bit, just simply because they were pretty mangled. good thing about this handle is you'd have to be seriously neglecting it to over tighten anything with a speed handle. If it starts to distort the pan, you're probably over torquing it. You'll see the gasket start to spit out a little bit. That should be about enough. Again, this one's got the washers, so you can probably crank it down all you want, but you're going to end up probably distorting your pan if you do that. So I just like to, yeah, you can feel it. It's hitting that washer now. Oh, sure just knocked my socket over. And I guess you talked me into throwing a little bit of black paint on this oil pan while I'm under here. Or on here, on top of here. And this is technically under, right? Now once I tighten these end ones, I'm going to have to recheck all the ones in the middle. Because when you're doing something long like this, every time you tighten the bolt next to it, it makes the one next to it loose. So you got to go over it one more time. There we go. Ring around the rosy. You know, that's a pretty morbid song if you think about it. Ring around the rosies. A pocket full of posies. It means you're dead. Not good. Unless you just like being dead. I personally don't like it. Haven't tried it. Not that curious. I'll figure it out soon enough, I reckon. But here we go. I'd say we're pretty darn good here. I know it's a little bit monotonous. That one's a little snuggy. A little loose. There we go. That's where the dipstick. I can see the gasket starting to distort a little bit. So to me, that's good news. Good enough. Oh yeah. We're styling now, Martha. All right, good enough. Let's see if I have an old. Well, I do have. We'll have a big block one. I think they're the same. But I was going to use it for my big block because I got to change the oil in it. But let me throw on an Earl filter.